Hi, I'm Elektra, your travel buddy for exploring Spain, back with another incredible day trip. This episode, we're on El Camino de Santiago, the major pilgrimage route stretching across France, Portugal, and Spain. Thanks for watching, and let's go exploring. Today's route starts us in Colmenar Viejo, a small town roughly an hour away from Madrid. After I hopped off the metro around 10 a.m., it was only a quick 30-minute walk to our trailhead, which lies at the opposite end of town. The trailhead, along with the entire hike, is marked with the symbol of the Camino, a yellow shell on a blue background, making it fairly easy to navigate. Okay, good morning everybody. We're about 25 minutes, half an hour from Colmenar Viejo. We've officially seen 2 or 3 of the actual Camino symbols, so we're on the right path. It's a insanely beautiful day, like really lucked out. I'll be honest, the walk is supposed to take about 3.5 hours. I'm bumping it up personally to about 4 hours, 15 minutes, partially because I need to stop to film stuff, and also moving a little slower because yesterday I took a day trip to Cuenca. My good lord, I was walking. I'd put like 40,000 steps in, so I'm a little sore to be honest, but not too bad. You know, it did wake me up and put a little pep in my step, as they say. I was about 10 minutes from town on the route, and you're boom right next to me. I look over and it's a guy in the neighboring field with this big old rifle hunting with his dog, and he had clearly taken down what looked like a deer, like something fairly large. Oh. Sorry, I chose the worst possible. Look at the ground right now. It's not conducive to keeping the camera steady. Anyway, congrats to him, I guess, for getting something, but I went right up. Started speeding up. So now I think we're just gonna walk until a nice little viewpoint, have a snack. It's about 11 now, so packed lunch, packed a lot of snacks. After the first half hour, the trail narrowed and became rocky as we entered the actual hike. As someone doing this in basically fashion tennis shoes, there were definitely several sections where I tripped a good bit and had to be pretty careful about where I was stepping, but luckily nothing too intense. The more narrow trails do pose a bit of an issue with the bikers who share it. Oftentimes, I'd be coming around a corner or up a tight hill, and a biker would zip by me, nearly silent. So, I ended up just trying to listen for bikers whenever I saw a particularly questionable turn, which I would recommend. In my opinion, this part also had the best views of the hike, allowing us to climb to the tops of boulders and walls to see expansive valleys covered in dark green trees, with the nearby mountains in the distance. Alright, now that we're about 45 minutes to an hour into our hike, I thought it'd be a good idea to stop and talk about what actually is El Camino. So El Camino, also known as the Way of St. James, is a path that leads to the shrine and tomb of the Apostle St. James in Galicia in northwestern Spain. A major pilgrimage route of Christianity since the 10th century, it goes through France, Portugal, and Spain, tracing rivers, mountains, and all the natural wonders of the Iberian Peninsula. The Camino itself is made up of a lot of different routes, but generally 3 are considered kind of the most important, being Frances, Primitivo, and Finisterre. Camino Frances, or the French way, is the French entry, where historically most pilgrims have come from. Camino Primitivo is the oldest route, with proof of it being taken dating back to the 9th century. Finally, El Camino Finisterre, or the walk to the end of the world. This route follows an earlier Roman trade route, ending in Cape Finisterre. Today, we're on the Camino de Madrid, which has many sections perfect for a day hike. We are I think it's stage 2 of the Camino de Madrid is Tres Cantos, Manzanares El Real, which was about 25 kilometers. That's like 15 miles. I have one day. I don't have a lot of experience doing like long-term hikes, and I don't really have proper shoes. So instead, I started in Colmenar Viejas, which is between the two cities, and basically I'm just doing that to Manzanares El Real. It's about 15 kilometers, which is like 9 miles, and then I added 2 miles from the train station to get to the trailhead. So in all today, I'm aiming to do about 11. The reason we're only doing half of the hike is my day trip that I took yesterday. I went to Cuenca, a historic town famous for its hanging houses that lies about an hour and a half away from Madrid. While the town was beautiful and it was an incredible trip, I ended up walking more than 40,000 steps in my leather boots, the worst walking shoes that I own. When I woke up this morning, it was immediately clear that we, under no circumstances, were doing the full 15 miles, so I cut the trip down to 11 instead, as Colmenar Viejo was the only other easily accessible trailhead I could find. But if you're used to longer hikes, wear good shoes, and don't walk an absurd amount the day before, I honestly think the full 15 miles would definitely be doable all in one day. Part of me is sad that I don't have more time in Spain to space out all of these trips, as I would have loved to do the full hike, just so I could fully see and appreciate how incredibly beautiful this area of Madrid truly is. I think I definitely found the best lunch vibe spot. Got my sandwich, and I got this view. Yeah. Just incredible all around. Plus, there's a couple of horses in front of me that I get to watch. This is great. Take a little snack, continue on. After wrapping up lunch, I continued along the road, which traces through farms, ranches, and a nature preserve. Personally, while it was still really beautiful, this was the less interesting part of the trip, as it was mostly just a wide dirt road. However, I did meet 2 stray dogs and see some guys on giant white horses, so it was still really interesting. I will say, the views of the mountains surrounding us were incredible, and actually inspired me to go hike there as well, which will definitely be a future vlog. Alright, we know El Camino is a pilgrimage to the tomb and shrine of St. James, but who was he? Also known as the Son of Thunder for his strong character, he was an apostle and follower of Jesus. After Jesus died, he, like all the rest of the apostles, dedicated his life to preaching and spreading the gospel. After all this, he returned to Palestine in 44 AD, where King Herod Agrippa I would order his death, making him the first apostle to officially die for his Christian faith, which was it's a big deal in this realm. However, St. James' disciples disobeyed the king's order to bury James there, and instead took the body and fled in a stone boat. They sailed for 3 days, led by an angel, to Iria Flavia, off the coast of northern Galicia. Iria Flavia was ruled by Queen Lupa, a pagan, who tested the disciples by putting them through difficult challenges before giving them permission to bury James. The final test was when the disciples asked for an ox to carry the body. She gave them wild oxen, hoping to stop them. Instead, the disciples' prayers tamed the oxen, and they were able to finally bury James. Seeing these 2 joint miracles, Queen Lupa converted and not only gave them permission to bury James, but actually gave them the tomb. Personally, if I saw 2 guys, or how many guys there were, tame a couple oxen, my first thought would be, oh, they have livestock experience, that's so cool. It probably wouldn't be, well, yeah, I guess there is just one God. That totally makes sense. Yeah, there's no other way to look at this. But hey, whatever floats your boat. So yes, all the routes on El Camino lead to the shrine, and therefore what is considered the tomb and final resting place of St. James. Smushed. but no less delicious. Okay, it's fine. I don't know if you can see it, but right behind me, that's Manzanares El Real. We're basically here. I think the official Camino path takes us just across what I think is a river and just straight to the town, but we're actually gonna jut off to the side, and there's 2 look points that I want to check out first. Little tip if you're in Spain, Mirador. Mirador means viewpoint, because mirar is to look, so Mirador, it's a place to look. I am glad I didn't do the full hike all the way from Trace. I forget what the town is called, but like the full 15-mile thing, because my feet hurt so bad. I'm like, I need to get new boots. Yeah, obviously this is beautiful, and it's only about 2 o'clock now, so I have a lot of time to. I think I have to get a bus back from Manzanares. It's not the metro like what it was for Coleman. You know what? I will might make a little infographic about how to get here and just put that up here. Let's do that instead of trying to remember it right now, because I'm hungry, a little dehydrated, need to fix that. I'm very tired. So yeah, hair doesn't look too bad for being up in a weird ponytail. Okay, never mind. Good lord. You know what? It's back in my head. I don't have to care about it. El Camino de Santiago is completely signposted, each bearing the design of a yellow scallop on a blue background. Found on the shores of Galicia, a scallop shell is one of the main symbols of the Camino, and you'll often see pilgrims wear a shell or something similar tied to their pack. The origin isn't exactly clear, but one theory is that in the old times, when the Camino first started, pilgrims would reach the shrine and they'd want both, a souvenir, but also proof that they actually reached it. So they'd take a shell from the beach and bring it home with them. However, there is also a myth behind it. After St. James's death, when the ship with his body was approaching Galician shores, the wedding of the daughter of Queen Lupa was occurring on the beach. The groom's horse saw the ship and spooked, carrying him and the groom himself into the cold water. Miraculously, both of them still came out of the water moments later, covered in shells. Beside the scallop, you might also see the pilgrim staff. This walking stick is used for many Christian pilgrimages and has a hook on the end to carry water or bags. Lastly, the credencia y compostela are also symbols of the Camino. The credencial is essentially a pilgrim's passport, giving pilgrims access to places to stay at night along the route. The paper is stamped with the official St. James stamp in every town that the pilgrim goes to, serving as both a souvenir and proof for the Compostela. The Compostela is a certificate of achievement for the Camino, which you can receive at the shrine. To get it, you have to either have walked 100 kilometers or biked 200 kilometers. After today, I'll have hiked 15 kilometers. So, we're not exactly there, but we're approaching. It's a start, it's a start. This final section was one of the most beautiful, full of little streams crisscrossing mossy banks and winding trails banked by green trees. As I stumbled my way down the path, Manzanares El Real came fully into view, marking the end of our hike. If you're actually doing the Camino de Madrid in its entirety, yellow arrows still continue through the town itself, pointing you to places to stay the night. However, after resting by the town's lake and taking in the incredible views, I ambled over to the bus stop at the beginning of town. The bus to get back to Madrid was fairly late, and I ended up sitting at the stop for almost 2 hours. So if you're doing this as a day trip, maybe try to be at the bus stop earlier rather than later. All in all, it was an incredible hike through an absolutely fascinating terrain, and was definitely worth how incredibly sore I was the next day. I hope you've enjoyed our look at El Camino de Santiago, a historic journey with a deep history. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm Elektra, reminding you to go out and start exploring.